Hispanics make up 17.8% of the U.S. population, the largest population of minorities that reside in the country. Yet, their love for the land of the free is ignored by mistreatment and discrimination. Each generation of Hispanics have suffered to fit into the United States, each having to endure their own struggles within their time periods. These are their stories. Liz and Lou Carrillo are part of the first generation of Hispanics that fled their home countries in hopes of seeking a better life in the United States.
What drove him to come here is because we were a large family. There was 10 of us, plus my mom, that made 11 of us. And unfortunately, the job he had over there was not enough earnings to have a comfortable life to give us. So at that time, which was back in the 1961 or 62, the American government started offering free visas for anyone from Mexico that wanted to come and work in the fields because they really needed farm workers out in the field. And my dad, not knowing how hard that work was going to be, he didn't think about that. He thought about giving us a better future. So he came and worked in the fields for 2 years by himself and earned enough money to send to my mom in order to get our passport, our visas, we travel from Yucatan. So we travel for 5 days in a station wagon, all 11, actually 13, including my grandma and my uncle that went and picked us up. So that's how I started my life here. Going to school, I started in the 4th grade, not knowing any English. You know, being so young, I would not think about a discrimination, or I didn't see it as a discrimination, but I did feel really bad because I didn't understand. There was a communication barrier. And even the teachers were kind of not understanding, not able to give you that extra time. So it was really difficult. My dad's goal that when we got here, he already had an apartment that was fully furnished, and he had to work 2 jobs to upkeep the home and provide for our family, because my mom did not work.
I couldn't get a high-paying job. There was just no way. I knew that I was limited because I wasn't legal. So my ambition was, to get a better job, but I couldn't. So I wind up taking low-paying jobs. It was scary. It was very scary because they'll be asking you questions, and you will trying to figure out what will be the best answer to give them so you can get a job. And I think they knew. I think they knew that I was illegal, but they didn't care. They just wanted me to work. So I wound up working at a place to where they were spraying a lot of parts for aircraft. But what they do is they put you inside of a booth, and they roll up the parts, and you spray 8 hours a day. And when you come out, you are covered with, they give you some overalls and things to cover yourself, but it really didn't help.
Yeah, the working
my
conditions
hair
were not
was
good.
just full of paint. I imagine my lungs, because I didn't have a mask. I was inside of a booth, and you spraying, and you sucking it all in. So those were the jobs that I was able to get. It wasn't great money, but it wasn't bad money either. But 8 hours doing that, it was starting to take a toll on me, especially when you on your breaks, you will come out and you see everybody resting, doing much better jobs than what I was doing. I was like, I felt like, the ugly duck, I mean, look where I am, doing what I'm doing, what everybody else is having so easy. Yeah. So you go through a depression, you feel mistreated, and when you ask for something, they probably understand it, but because the way I asked for it, they will laugh, and they'll make fun out of me. They'll laugh among themselves. I wasn't aware of what they were saying, but I can feel they were talking about me. I could feel that they were really putting me down. So I feel bad, I really feel bad for the longest time. My life was just to work and home.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go outside. I wanted to stay away from a possibility to run into the police. It was hard. You're always kind of hiding. You're always trying to blend in, almost be invisible, so people don't ask you questions. You're always in fear that somebody will ask you for something. And even the people that did that I thought they can speak Spanish, they turned me off. They kind of pushed me to the side. They didn't want to talk to me. You don't speak English, get out of here. I was an embarrassment to them. We didn't want the kids, our kids, to learn Spanish because we've seen it. It's a kind of like a sin. You speak Spanish, they'll make fun out of you. You speak Spanish, they mistreat you. You speak Spanish, they don't even want to talk to you.
As a result of discrimination, first-generation Hispanics arrived in the U.S. poor and unable to attain high-paying jobs. The next generation would grow up in poorer conditions and were taught American culture. Some were never introduced to their Hispanic culture, in fear that they would never fit into American society. Because the second generation of Hispanics were raised in America, they dealt with an identity crisis, living in two worlds. Some with Hispanic cultures at home, and adapting American culture outside in society.
My name is Alondra Olmedo. I was born in Inglewood, and I'm from Gardena. My parents went through a lot to get me where I am, and I honestly feel blessed to have them as parents, that they can be able to help me with whatever they can, and I can help them with whatever they need also. My grandparents originally came here to have a better future for my parents. And my parents, although they didn't get all their family across, they still got through everything. And even through struggles like with the English and with society and all this, they ended up being part of society that fits in and is not just a stereotype that people use against them. So they ended up learning English, having jobs that had to do with speaking English, trying to help me with stuff that maybe they didn't know, but they still tried to help us with. So I feel more Hispanic due to Americans, or in America now, I feel I'm not as welcomed as I would be in Mexico. I feel socially connected to Mexicans, so therefore I feel more Mexican. And I'm actually proud of that. I know some people, they use that against you, and they make fun of you, and I feel blessed that I am Mexican. I was raised by my culture because my mom always said, you speak English at school, you speak Spanish at home, because not everyone of our family members understands our English at home, so we have to speak Spanish. But I feel like I've adjusted to both English and Spanish, to both of my cultures. I grew up with being raised Mexican, and I'm still doing it to this day. I don't think it was difficult for me. It was more difficult for them to try to get me what I needed. as in help. But for me, it wasn't as difficult because I adjusted to the culture from here. I would feel more comfortable here because there's a lot of problems in Mexico that I wouldn't like to be a part of. And here I feel somewhat safer because I have a lot of family here, and over there I depend on only a few of my family members. And the government is kind of like corrupt over there, so I wouldn't want to be over there.
Questioning their heritage, the third generation of Hispanics are fully introduced to American culture, but are not as familiar with their Hispanic roots. Although more Hispanics are able to embrace their culture, most are still left confused. Many Latinos are left feeling ostracized from their own culture, being called pochas or pochos, a discriminative word used by native-born Mexicans to refer to non-speaking Latinos. These people are not considered Mexican or American.
What's up? I'm Josh, 17 years old. I'm actually Mexican full-on. Being third generation, it's not something that I knew like my whole life. It was something that was kind of introduced to me when I got into high school. I was a little bit older, and I kind of started to understand where I actually came from and what my background was actually. Honestly, I can say that I'm really not. I was born in Torrance. I've lived my whole life in Torrance and Gardena, basically. Just risen. My parents didn't really raise me around my culture. I'm more of an Americanized Mexican, I feel, than anything. It kind of bothers me because when I talk about other stuff with my friends, they talk about how they did the quinces and the 15s and everything, I've never been to one, and I've never experienced that myself. So that's what kind of hurt, because that's something you see a lot of Latin families doing. I struggled when I went to Perry for 8th grade. I grew up in Torrance my whole life. I don't speak any Spanish at all. And when I moved to Gardena and I went to Perry Middle School, there's more of a Latin culture there. They all speak Spanish, they're fluent in both languages. So when they found out I was full-on Mexican, and I didn't speak Spanish, I got really discriminated against. I was, you're whitewashed, you're not a real Mexican, that kind of hurts, it's not that big of a deal, but it hits home. You're damn, I don't speak Spanish. I don't want to go to those type of functions with all the Mexican festivities and the music, because I hate to admit it, but I don't really like it. It's different. I'd rather go somewhere else and eat hamburgers and listen to American music. And that's where I feel really out of touch with my culture, is that I definitely missed out on trips that my family went to Mexico for weddings and stuff, but I didn't go because I didn't feel comfortable enough, because I didn't speak Spanish. I was just gonna sit there and not be able to have a conversation with anybody. So that was something that I missed out on, because I thought about it because I'm not comfortable enough to be with my own family, my own heritage. That kind of sucks. Just I play baseball, so I felt that I've missed out on an equal opportunity. I feel that since I'm Mexican, they don't really look at me as a talented baseball player. They rather take a white kid over me. I actually went to Alabama over 2 summers ago to play baseball, and I never really experienced this. We went into a restaurant, and I sat down, and my family was getting looked at weird, you're not wanted here, looks from the workers, from the people sitting there, and it was so different from out here. That was the first time I've ever felt that, felt I wasn't supposed to be there, I didn't belong. And they made me feel that way. But yeah, it's definitely different outside of the west states and like the southern states, because I mean they're not really used to seeing it, and like so there's still people who really do feel like that way. That's really about it. Other than that, like nobody thinks I'm Mexican because the way I sound, the way I talk, you know, I don't have like an accent or anything. Like I really do sound like American. I definitely would want to raise my kids like knowing the background of like how we got here. Like I definitely want to tell them like about their great grandparents like coming over here at such a young age, and you know, establishing family, both sides of the family here, and I really want them to know that, because you know that's important. Like I feel I didn't know that, and like when I found that out, it was like a big piece of the puzzle like to my life, you know. You know, there's nothing you can do about the past. It is what it is, but the most important thing you can do is take advantage of it now, make up for it now, and you know, you never know where it could take you. You can really find yourself.
With the continuing discrimination against Latinos, future generations are at risk of feeling embarrassed or shameful of their heritage. However, a movement of embracing Latino culture has risen against this issue, with more of the country willing to accept the feelings of sympathy for the dreamers who arrive in the U.S. seeking a grand future for themselves, their children, and future generations to come. There is still hope.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
By saying that Mexico is not our friend and we're building a wall.
If it's good for me or bad for me, I don't think of that. I think of saying the right thing. And people have to be alerted to the fact that we are getting some really bad characters coming into this country. We are going to build a great border wall to stop illegal immigration, to stop the gangs and the violence, and to stop the drugs from pouring into our communities.